This may shock you, but renovating this old place has not always been fun. We're not finished renovating yet, but we are taking a detour and heading to a forgotten corner of our yard and giving ourselves a fun challenge that is sure to be worth our time and money. We have $500, 5 weeks, and this old garden shed. Can we take it from dilapidated to enchanted? I'm going in.
All right, so before we show them the inside of the garden shed, we should probably talk about who abandoned the garden shed and why.
Oh, right, we did. It was us. When we bought the house, we abandoned it because it looked like this. It had already been abandoned by the previous owner. And we had way too many projects to work on inside the house.
Actually, we didn't even know it was there until we were looking at a Google Earth image of it and realized there was something attached to the garage. It's a garden shed. It's got like the kind of like the clear plastic stuff over the top. It's got pots and everything in there.
Cute.
Little table and
That's exciting.
yeah. Check me for spiders.
And then 18 months later, we went in to check it out. So we cleared a path, and then we realized it was locked. And then we kind of forgot about it because we were so busy with the inside of the house. So
Yeah. And like I said, we don't have any keys for it, so I'm going to try and just...
And then we abandoned it again. And now we're finally getting to the renovation. And this place looks like it's in better shape than the house was when we bought it. For those of you who have been following along for a while, you know that when I said 5 weeks earlier, I really meant 5 weekends, because we do go to work during the week. So we have a limited amount of time that we have to work on big projects like this. So let's take a closer look and I'll show you what we're dealing with here. So let's go up and I'll show you what the roof looks like. The roof is made out of corrugated plastic and covered in inches of dirt, leaves, and vines.
The shed walls are made out of a fiberglass board. We do have a couple extras to fix things like that crack right there, and another one that I made later. There is a window on the side here. We're hoping to put another window in, and then everything's got to get scrubbed down before we repaint it. The shed measures roughly 12 by 9.5 feet.
Now that you've gotten the lay of the land, you tell us, do you think we can get it done? We are going to show you later in the video some of the things that we want to accomplish with this garden shed, but first we need to get it cleared out. As we come in here, I will say I'm very excited to see so many pots because we are starting a garden. As you know, we have a ½ acre and we've started a little garden. We do have some raised beds on the way, but in the meantime, I've started a container garden, so it's great to see all of these pots here. These are going to be super useful. I know some of you were really into the treasures we found inside the house when we bought it, so if I find anything interesting, I'll show it to the camera here. I think it's time for this bunny with 1 ear to go, though. Maybe that's a good sign. I don't know if you can hear that cat yowling. That is not my cat. That is the neighbor's cat. Found a fairy. I actually think these chairs are pretty cool if we clean them up. Okay, it's getting kind of gross in there. I'm gonna go grab a mask. Kind of having Casa clean out flashbacks. I guarantee it was much more fun to watch than it was to do in person. The wheel just fell off. For those of you who've been watching from the beginning, who are curious about Marie, I have something to show you. Here she is. Okay, I got a good portion of it cleaned out. I'm going to show you what it's looking like. Still have all these pots to get out of here, but I got most of the bigger things out. I've been making a pile of metal scrap over here from the garden shed because we have a whole bunch of scrap from the house that we've been collecting that we're going to go drop off soon, so we can add this to that pile. And it's time for me to go get cleaned up and hand off the baby so Hal can come out and do some work.
So these shingles were left over from when my friend Jorge and I had ripped them off the garage. We redid the side of the garage roof. The original plan was to throw them all in this tarp and then drag the tarp away. Well, I didn't account for the weight of all the shingles, so I had to lighten that up and scoop them into the wheelbarrow. I had a moment of inspiration where I was going to lay all these out and in the driveway make a second little parking pad with them, and I quickly changed my mind and decided to just take them to the dump. While we keep cleaning out the inside, I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can clean the roof off of these vines. These things have been hanging around. I've tried to get them off before. It's very fragile up there. And the cross beams, a couple of them are a little rotten. So gotta be really careful, but I do need to get that off. This stuff will lift up pretty easy, but actually pushing it off is not so easy. And I can't walk on this. So I've got to come up with another way. I don't trust this. Maybe a bigger board. Oh boy. Almost there. All right, let's see what it looks like on the inside now. It's a little brighter in here now. Still got to sweep these things off before I take them down, but I can definitely get a better look at the rottenness, and it's a lot more extensive than I thought. Yeah, it's not even... Huh. Well, I don't know what terracotta goes for on the open market, but if it's anywhere close to gold, we're rich. Now, I know these pots definitely have some value. I mean, if we were to try and replace all of this, it would be a lot of money. So it's exciting to have all these pots that we can start planting things in our garden shed.
We've had a lot of really encouraging words in the comments on this channel for various projects that we've posted. And we've also had people telling us that we're getting ahead of ourselves or we should be doing one project over another project. And you might be wondering, when we haven't finished renovating our house fully, why we are rebuilding our garden shed right now. But the thing is, when you're working on a project this big, sometimes it's nice to just do something for fun. We're moving into a new phase with this house. So instead of trying to make it livable, like we were doing for the first 2.5 years, now that we are actually living here, we're trying to make each space, little by little, enjoyable, comfortable, and the way that we really want our home to be. And one big part of that is this yard, because we have a beautiful 1/2 acre, which is really unusual. It's a really large yard for our neighborhood, and we really want to take advantage of that and spend as much time out here as we can. A lot of people now are going inside because it's getting really cold and snowy, and here in Florida, we're actually having a cold snap. I have a hoodie on, but it's really wonderful to be outside. Now is really the best time for us to be doing big projects outside, like rebuilding the garden shed, because in the spring and summer, it would just be really, really hot and just not as fun or enjoyable to do a project like that. Garden shed was something that we could tackle and go from start to finish and feel that sense of accomplishment and have a nice little corner to store our tools and to enjoy being outside once we start our garden. Some people might also think that it's a total teardown, but if you've been watching for a while, then you know that we don't really tear things down. We try to restore what's already there, use what we already have, and keep things out of the landfill as much as possible and just restore what already exists here. That being said, we aren't going to keep the garden shed exactly how it was before. So let's take a look at some of the plans, and maybe you can help us out because we haven't finalized any of these. So let us know what you think in the comments. Here's a mock-up of what our garden shed could look like in a dark color. We want to go with either a dark green or a dark blue because the garden shed is nestled in the back corner of our yard, surrounded by trees and other plants, and we think a dark color like this will really complement the surrounding natural area. The inside of the garden shed will be used to store our tools, our pots, and everything else that we'll be using for our garden. So these are a couple photos that I found on Pinterest that I thought were really inspiring. I love the organization, and down on the bottom, I love this simple potting bench. I think something like that would be really useful in our space. As well as being practical, we also have some wish items on our list, like an archway like this one, covered in beautiful flowers, maybe some whimsical stepping stones, definitely some fun lighting, and maybe even a water feature. Okay, now that the garden shed is emptied out, I've had a minute to clean up some of the treasures that we took out of it. So I thought I'd show you what we found to give you a little closer look. And first up, this is one of my favorites. This is a McCoy Pottery mid-century planter in mint green color with a speckled glaze. I just think it's so pretty and I love this piece. I really love McCoy pottery because when I was in high school in the 90s, McCoy was having a little bit of a comeback, and that's when I first heard about it. And I used to go to thrift stores a lot when I was a teenager, and so I would always look for McCoy pottery. So it's really fun that I found some here in our shed. Also, if you know anything else about any of these items that I'm showing, please put it in the comments because I just did a quick search online to find out what these things were. So if you have any more info, let us know. I also found this vintage brass planter. It has these cool lion heads on the sides and 3 feet. It's like a little mini cauldron. It has a really nice patina on it. So if you know anything else about this one, definitely let me know because I didn't find too much specifically about this piece online. Okay, next we have these two cute bowls. These are Mark Crest, mid-century. They're not in great condition. As you can see, this one has some cracking, but I still think they're a really neat find. It's a really cute pattern. So, fun find. Okay, next up, I have another piece of McCoy that I was very excited to find. This is a McCoy Pottery succulent planter, and it's in a really pretty green drip glaze. And on the bottom, it just has the USA marking. It doesn't have the, whoops, there's a little bit of water in there. It doesn't have the McCoy marking on the bottom, but apparently with McCoy pottery, that's not unusual for it to not say McCoy on the garden vessels. So really excited to have this one. Definitely gonna keep this and plant something in it for our garden shed. And finally, one of the coolest things that we found. This is so pretty. This is a French piece. It's also a planter. It's iridescent earthenware. I'm gonna hold it up so that you can see the maker's mark because it's real tiny. It's kind of hard for me to read. But it's this beautiful iridescent color. I love these bubble decorations, this detail. So this is a very unique find, and I'm definitely going to be hanging on to this one. So again, if you know anything more about this piece or anything else that I just showed you, let us know in the comments. Oh, I almost forgot to show you our garden squirrel. This guy has been hanging out here with us for a couple years as we've been working on the house. So definitely holding on to him. Here's a closer look at a few more treasures.
Only thing left is to take the roof off. It doesn't get into a lot more. But I'm gonna go ahead and try and get the roof off. We're losing daylight here. It's really brittle. I'm gonna try pushing it up from the inside and getting it slid off in that direction. See if I have any other tools of persuasion. The rake's not cutting it. 2x4. Definitely got to put this mask on. Sunroof. So now that we have the roof off, I can see better. These beams are in some trouble. So I got a lot more work to do ahead of me. All right, first weekend of the garden shed rebuild is done and we spent $0, but that's about to change and I have the receipts. It's a tight budget.
Next time on our abandoned garden shed.
I thought I wanted the blue, but after looking at it, I think I really like the screen.